What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Renegade Animation on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. I will be your host for this evening. Joining me, as always, is the animation guru, Cameron.
Howdy, howdy.
And once again, we've got Haley.
Hello.
And today's episode is very nostalgic in ways that we'll explain. We have reviews for OrganoidZero, the latest anime from the mind of Hiro Mashima. We've got the 2021 iteration of Shaman King. And of course, we have to talk about Star Wars Visions. But first, we have quite a few trailers to get through. So Cameron, what's on the menu?
So basically around this whole week, Netflix did their big fan event, Tudum, weird title aside, and they basically showed off a bunch of new clips and trailers for shows. And then around that same time, Marvel and Hulu showed off the trailer for the upcoming animated series coming in November, Marvel's Hit Monkey, one of the original adult animated Marvel shows that survived getting canned, along with Patton Oswalt's MODOK. So, what did y'all think about the trailer? I thought it looks pretty promising. This is one of those characters that I'm not super familiar with, but I like the concept, and the voice cast is great with Fred Tatasciore as Hit Monkey, Jason Sudeikis as the ghost character. Then we got like George Takei, Olivia Munn, Ali Maki, and Nobi Nakanishi. And I mean, it looks good. It looks like a different variation of Archer, which is no coincidence since it's the same animation studio.
Of course.
But yeah, what do y'all think?
I like the character designs, but for some reason, maybe it was just like the way the trailer was edited, but I thought the motions of the characters felt a bit janky.
Thank you. I was going to ask if that was just the way mine played back, because that was very weird. It was very oddly moving.
But other than that, I do love the concept, and I'm very happy with this cast. I like how it's a mostly Asian cast, and then like Sudeikis is there because he's Jason Sudeikis and he's awesome.
Yeah. No, the animation looked a bit rough, and I don't know if it's just because of the teaser or how the trailer's edited, or it's the fact that the animation studio is currently going through some issues about getting better working conditions and such. And it could be a multitude of things, and we don't know until we actually see like the official trailer and when the show comes out November 17th. But it looked like they were trying to take the Archer way of animating and then trying to make a powerhouse or like a Studio Mir kind of action show.
Yeah, I noticed a bit of Mirisms.
Yeah, so we'll just have to see how that goes.
Yeah, and then, I don't know. That didn't really land for me.
No,
I think because the animation looked very odd.
No, I understand. Like it's an odd premise with an out there Marvel character. I mean, granted, DC has Detective Chimp, but also, to be fair, Detective Chimp was played by Kevin Michael Richardson in the Brave and the Bold series, and he was just great in that. But then again, I love Kevin Michael Richardson. But
same.
Yeah, he's great.
So then the next thing we had was a show that I think Netflix wanted to kind of bury when they were doing their like, here's what's coming in October, because they released the trailer separately from the what's coming to Netflix in October video. And it wasn't part of the Tudum lineup. It's called Adventure Beast, and it's a 17 minute adult animated, or sorry, it's a 12 by 17 adult animated comedy hitting in October 22nd. And it's about let's see. Yeah, each episode follows Bradley Trevor Grieve, a semi-indestructible wildlife expert who travels the globe studying and rescuing animals. Along the way, he shares with us truly astonishing, sometimes risque facts that other wildlife shows would be too polite to mention. BTG is joined on these expeditions by his fearless junior field assistant and favorite niece, Bonnie, and his fearful of absolutely everything senior field assistant, Diedrich. Jungles, deserts, oceans, glaciers. No matter where the missions take them, the team constantly finds themselves surrounded by all kinds of fascinating animals that are just waiting for the chance to kill them. And every adventure is told through BTG's unique voice and twisted view of nature. So here's what came up when I watched this trailer. This kind of comes off like the animal episode of WTF 101. I don't know if y'all seen that online series by the College Humor people.
I vaguely remember it.
It was basically this show of like all those like nature or science documentaries, like our kid shows, and then talking about the most effed up parts of like history, science, nature, and such. It seems like this is kind of like the episode, like where they talk about like the messed up side of animals and such, and stretched it out to a whole series, because it sounds like it's more of an edutainment show with an adult edge. And it has this interesting pop art look to the characters. So I'm not really ready to call it a bento box look. It just happens to have that visual distinction, but more flat designs and such.
Well, fortunately, this one actually isn't by Bento Box. I believe this is from Mission Control Media and Kapow Pictures.
All right. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, so Bento Box doesn't have like a complete monopoly over adult animation, thank God.
Yeah, so I mean, it looks interesting. I'm kind of down to see a slightly more unhinged nature documentary series.
I really wish they'd cut this trailer differently. I think making it seem very dramatic did not work to sell the material, but what they showed seemed charming and fun. I just think whoever was making this trailer, like the music and the way they cut it and everything, this is just not the way you should sell a show like this. If I'm reading the show properly. If I end up watching the show and it is a very weirdly dramatic show, then I'm like, I don't know who this is for. But this felt like it needed a lighter touch. I'm not surprised to hear Netflix is kind of trying to bury it, because I don't think it seems like, you know, when networks used to get shows and it was clear they had no idea how to sell them because they weren't exactly easy to fit in a box. This is what this trailer feels like to me. Like they were all, funny edutainment show about nature, woo! And then they got it back and there's something about it that there's like, I don't know how we're gonna sell this to people. So
I think the easier way to have sold this series is if they had a frame of reference that more people recognize. Like if this was more like a parody of like the Crocodile Hunter on Animal Planet, like more people will recognize that like this is supposed to be a parody of that. So that's
like
how
a deranged Jack Hanna or something.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, it'll be interesting to see. I kind of dig that it has a different vibe from other animal like adult animated shows. So I'll give it that. And then with all the Tadum stuff, I'm not saying like the Netflix stuff is dumb. It's just that's literally what the event is called. It's Tadum.
That is such a weird.
Well, it's supposed to be the sound of when Netflix boots up. You know, the da-da.
Yeah, it's completely an onomatopoeia.
Yeah.
I would never write out that onomatopoeia as to dumb, but okay.
Yeah. So on top of some announcements like Agretsuko season 4 coming in December.
Yay!
I can't wait. Mike, I apologize that I had to force you to watch 3 direct seasons in a row of this.
Worth it.
Yeah, for an episode last year. Because it's like, oh, this isn't the show you should binge all 3 seasons in a row for. And of course, I'm very excited for this. Next year, we're getting season 2 of the CGI Ultraman series. And yes, this is different from the Ultraman movie that's getting made. This is the follow-up to the anime series from Production IG that's based off of the manga. And I love the teaser image because you see Ultraman Jack, Ultraman Taro, and Ultraman Zophie among the Ultraman, Ultra 7, and Ultraman Ace. Sorry, I'm a huge Ultraman nerd, so...
One of these days, we'll do an Ultraman special.
Yeah, maybe when the Ultraman film comes out, that'll be kind of fitting. And then we got a new show from Studio Bones. They are, of course, the studio behind My Hero Academia. And they revealed the trailer for Super Crooks. And this looks great. It's also based off of the comic by Mark Millar. Or Mark Millar,
which is the only red flag.
Yeah. And isn't this the same guy who did the Kingsman and such, or am I thinking of someone else?
Nope.
No,
he worked on Kingsman, Kick-Ass. He wrote the comic for Civil War. His resume is very impressive, but he himself is kind of problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the best way to describe it is he's a very good idea man. A lot of those titles that you just mentioned do not take most of the content of what Miller put in those comics, but just take the general premise and run with them. They did that with Wanted, did that with Kick-Ass. Not as familiar with Kingsman, so I don't know how much of that got changed, but that's kind of the general gist of the Miller experience.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'm not the biggest fan of Kingsman. I do not like the first 2 movies. Even though the action's great, there are some elements where I'm just like, oh, okay, no, this is indulgent in the worst way possible.
I'm kind of the opposite in that I love those 2 movies, but I completely understand why people don't, especially the second one.
Yeah. But I really dig the idea of Super Crooks, just that it's superheroes and heists. That sounds great. And it's also maybe just refreshing that we have a bunch of lead characters that are adults. They're not 12, they're not 14, they're not 16-year-olds that look like
none of them is named Siesta.
Yeah, no. It's just how rare is that, or just how sad is that anime these days, we just can't get anyone above the age of 20 unless something happens.
Or it's like a serious story.
I know the beginning is that kind of situation where it's like, oh my gosh, a 30-year-old or so.
Or Kakuchi Goto, where you sit there going, oh no, this seems like it could be a bad premise just on what you know from anime, because there's a 35-year-old man in the center.
Yeah. No, but I think this looks very cool. I dig the visual look and the action. But I mean, that's what do y'all think?
It looks very stylish. I don't know if any anime heist series is going to be better than either the classic Lupin shorts and specials or Great Pretender, which I still think is one of the best new anime I've seen in the 2020s. But
that was a good one.
I've got high hopes for this one.
Yeah, with the asterisk of Mark Miller next to it, because I fully appreciate that Mark Miller comes up with amazing ideas. And I don't even want to say he's like, but he's problematic. It's more often that his execution is so far below the promise of the ideas he comes up with. So with that asterisk, if they just took an idea and ran with it, this could be really, really great. And it looks really impressive. I think it was my favorite of the trailers that has come out recently. That it looks like it's got a lot going for it. And Bones does quality work, so I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I saw the Josie the Tiger and the Fish, which was animated by Bones, and it's just a visual marvel. I love that movie so much. And I mean, granted, I know Bones did the case study of Anita's, but that's not the studio's fault that some parts of Anita's turned out to be ick.
I was gonna say, but the parts of Vanitas that turned out to be ick had nothing to do with how good it looked too.
Yeah, of course.
If nothing else, it's gonna be beautiful. Why am I wanting to call it Street Heist? That's not what it was called.
Yeah. And then we also had a new trailer for the new film by Studio Colorido, who did Penguin Highway and A Whisker Away. It's being directed by the same director as Penguin Highway. It's called Drifting Away. It's called Drifting Home. And it just looks great. The visuals look just incredible to me. Just the idea of these kids getting taken away and on a floating apartment complex in the ocean. There's just something there that could lead to like a fun summertime-ish experience. I hate that we have to wait until next year, but I'm sure Colorido is really busy with a bunch of those online Pokemon shorts and what have you. And of course, they made one of the shorts for Star Wars Visions. So, I mean, I don't know. I think Drifting Home looks good.
Yeah, there's something about the music in this trailer that that really kind of it was very effective for the tone that they were going for. And there's something about even just the concept of like a drifting apartment complex that kind of feels like a more nautical version of Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, this definitely had some Ponyo vibes.
Yeah.
A lot of boating through abandoned buildings and such.
Very much.
But it looks
so.
great. It does look great.
Yeah, no, Studio Colorido has been putting out some really good work. And yeah, Hiroyasu Ashida, who also worked on Fumiko's Confession, and he's writing the script alongside Hayashi Mori, who wrote the script for Cells at Work, Code Black, Latent Mysteries, Tanteisha Katori no Nazo Toki File, and Minaka Sakamoto, who did Babylon, Akihiro Nagai, who did Fascinating Days, are designing the characters. And Umitaro Abe, who did the music for Penguin Highway, is composing the music. So we'll just have to see. I wish we didn't have to wait until next year.
I know.
And then
I wish this trailer had a little bit more in it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a problem. It's a teaser, and then and well, to give it kudos, it is a teaser. It teased us a movie. It's not like Illumination where it's like, here's the whole movie in the first teaser, and it's like, okay.
That is the Illumination way.
Yeah. I mean, nothing against them. The people at Illumination work very hard. They're very talented, but those trailers are bad.
Man, I love Illumination, and that's a controversial statement, but yeah.
No, and then we also got a trailer for Arcane, which is the animated film show based off of the popular League of Legends game by the Riot Games, and Arcane looks good. I like the visual presentation of its CGI. It takes like a Spider-Verse approach to how, or like a Mitchell's versus the Machines approach, where it has like this cool painted look to the CGI figures. Or and it has like a bunch of visual pop. And I think one of the directors of the Love, Death, and Robots, I think it's like Deja Vu or something from the first batch of shorts.
Ash Brennan directed this, and I don't see Love, Death, and Robots on her Wikipedia page, but
I'm wrong then. I thought it because some of the like the 2D aspects of like the hearts and such looked very much like that. But what did y'all think about this trailer?
So I know nothing about League of Legends except for the random K-pop tie-ins that they do. So, which always struck me as very odd. Like I have no context for them. They just show up in my playlist and I'm like, okay. It's interesting. I guess Twice is doing this now. But this was kind of the exact opposite of what I would expect of League of Legends, knowing the minimal things I know. It was very compelling, kind of a rote story about the cycle of revenge and whatnot, but the animation is absolutely stunning. Like this is unique. Sorry if you heard that beep, that was my iPad, apologies. But very unique style of animation for a show. I've seen this in video games before, but to translate that into an actual television show, it's very interesting choice. And I think if nothing else, it looks like it's going to be absolutely beautiful to behold. So
Mike, what did you think?
I love the how this series looks. It looks like an oil painting kind of come to life, and apparently this is like this is supposed to be like three episodes. So the whole story is in 3 acts. Which means this was probably intended as like a kind of longer movie, and that's why it looks fairly expensive for a television series.
Yeah.
But that's great because it means that we actually get to experience visuals that you don't really see often in animation television, and that's in general something I've loved about the streaming era.
Yeah, no, kudos to like Netflix, Amazon, and so on for letting more distinct visuals get made instead of just following what everyone else is doing. I mean, granted, we still get a lot of those situations where it's like, oh, this show looks like the other show. Is it because it's by Bento Box? Oh, yes, big shock. Not really. I am hesitant to know if we're going to talk. Like, I'm hesitant in terms of talking about it for the podcast because Riot Games, the developers of League of Legends, are going through their, even before Activision, what they're going through right now is basically what's going on at Riot Games. And I don't know. I'm conflicted about covering it because I just don't want. I don't know. I'm not sure we're going to talk about it, but the trailer did look really good.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Right. And then I guess some opening credits trailer was released for some adaptation. I don't know. I think it's called like yodeling bebop or something. I don't know. Okay, fine, whatever. Let's talk about the Cowboy Bebop opening credits that were released. So, this is for the live action show with John Cho as Spike Spiegel. And, I understand why people are very upset about this because, Cowboy Bebop is like the greatest anime ever made, or like at least like one of the top 3 best shows ever made.
It's on everyone's essential anime list, basically.
If it's not your number 1, it's in your top 5 somewhere.
Yeah, and it was like one of the first anime to really break out into the US because the original show was not a huge hit in Japan. it was actually like one of those cases like the Big O, where it was much popular over here in the States than in its home country. And I give kudos that they're wanting to please like the fans who are kind of hesitant about this whole show. I mean, and just the track record for live action anime adaptations is dire. But I don't know. I think there are some things where it is like you can't create this in live action. It just won't translate. Like some of the running sequences, because they basically recreated the opening. And when Spike and what's the older guy's male character's name?
Jet Black.
Yeah, Jet run. When they try to recreate that, it looks off. It doesn't look good. And it seems like they're kind of taking story like different story parts to introduce them into the trailer, which is interesting. And then I think like, man, I don't know if this is going to work. And then they show a cute little corgi, and the corgi's the best thing ever. So if you hate this show, that means you hate that corgi, and then that means I hate you. No, I'm kidding, of course. I'm kidding. But what did you all think about these opening credits?
I thought
Go ahead, Mike.
As much as they tried to recreate such an iconic opening, even down to, I don't even think this is a new version of Tank. I think they just used Tank from the original.
No, they did.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's how should I say this? Releasing the opening sequence to the show for an event like Tudum is probably the best marketing that they could do to sell people who are still on the fence. In fact, I'd say that out of any of Netflix's live action anime adaptations, the people behind Cowboy Bebop are doing the best job at if nothing else, trying to sell this people to non-believers. They've been telling people, oh, this isn't just a straight adaptation. This is this is a like an extension of the anime, and bring back Yoko Kanno to compose the score was another another attempt to win fans over. The only casting choice that I am actually in agreement that probably should have been an actual Asian is the actress for Faye Valentine. Daniela Pineda is Mexican, which fine if they're changing the ethnicities, then fine, whatever, you can do that. But other than like those few reservations, I am totally in on this.
Well, for context, the problem that people have with Daniela Pineda playing My Valentine, I got my Yu-Gi-Oh.
My Valentine is a very different character.
Oh, sorry. Last names. Come on.
Faye about to attack with her perfume cards.
Yeah. No. The context for the situation with the Faye Valentine casting is that Faye is canonically in the show from Singapore. So
there we go.
So yeah, I just want to make sure that was it and known. And I like John Cho. I'm sorry that a lot of people are kind of bringing up his age when Keanu Reeves is doing John Wick and he's like in his 50s. So the age doesn't bother me. And I think Mustafa Shakir as Jet Black, I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And it's going to be interesting to see Alex Hassel as Vicious. I'm curious to know when they're going to bring in Ed, because Ed is the best. But we'll have to see. I want to see an actual trailer. I want to see the show itself. And we
Same.
will,
Right.
and we will in November.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, the credits, like you said, some of the stuff just does not translate well from animation to live action. But I appreciate the thought in being like, we want to tell people that this is going to be accurate to their memories, even though some of this stuff, like the running, looks completely ridiculous, or John Cho picking out of like a weird picking food out of a takeout box in like some weird parking garage. That was a shot that stuck out to me. It's like, what the hell is going on here?
honestly,
But,
yeah, sorry.
oh, but like the shots from the actual, what that seemed like they're from the actual show itself, like setting up the conflicts and what's going to be happening in the show.
Mhm.
That I think sold me more. Like the single shot of who I assume is Juliet crying that one tear. I'm like, okay, here we go. Here's the pulpy noir stuff. This is gonna be interesting, I think. At the very least, even if it doesn't work, it's going to be faithful to both the tone of the original and like the points and purpose of the original. So
And honestly, that's all I'm asking for, is
right.
just to get the tone and the spirit right.
Yeah, no, that's all I'm looking for. And I know some people were like kind of pushing back against the fact that they basically recreated the tank opening. And it's just like, well, wouldn't y'all have just complained that if it did something different, that it's like, well, it's not like the show. It's like, it's that ultimate conundrum between what I think film and TV fans, like pop culture people, can never quite figure out. Do you want something new? Or if they're going to adapt something into live action, do you want it to be as loyal as possible to it?
I say this all the time. Fans don't know what they want. They only know what they don't want.
And to me, personally, the poster for this show looked worse if it's just the three of the main characters with their backs to us, like standing there with guns in their hands. It's like, what are you doing? This is so generic. Get that one where they're all like in one of those police like measuring backgrounds and such, where they're like, where they all have different poses and such, where like you may not know anything about the show, but you look at the posing and you can tell what kind of character they are, like what their personality and what kind of mannerisms they have. I'm not too bent out of shape with the god dang it, say her name correctly, Faye Valentine. I was about to say my Valentine again.
So Cameron really wants a live action Yu-Gi-Oh. Got it.
Gosh, can you imagine what that's going to look like? Especially with the hair.
Put that monkey paw away now.
Yeah.
Before things get out of hand.
No, I know Netflix is just like, we could do a Yu-Gi-Oh anime. That'd be a great idea. And it's like, no. Anyway, I'm not so bent out of shape about Faye's different wardrobe. I understand it's iconic. And there are some misguided comments I've seen where it's like, well, cosplayers make it work. And it's like, yeah, but there's an absolute difference between cosplaying and acting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are cosplayers doing like high kicks and action scenes in their outfits? Usually not. That's just one consideration for an action show.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You look at the original outfits and it's like, yes, she, like, the look is iconic for a reason. She's like one of the original very hot anime women. But you cannot make that work in live action. It's like the One Piece suit from Ghost in the Shell. It's like, the Major is going to wear a one piece around. That's not going to happen. That's not going to look good. Sorry, I'm crossing my live action adaptation wires just all over the place. And then finally, we have the Inside Job trailer, the new show by, well, it's executive produced by Alex Hirsch, who made Gravity Falls, and is created by, I forgot her name.
Shion Takeuchi. I don't know how to pronounce her last name.
Shion Takeuchi. I think that's how.
That's the correct pronunciation, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I'll edit that part.
Shion
And-
Takeuchi. Yeah.
Yeah. And well, I saw the preview for this show back in Annecy. This was during the big Netflix panel that they had, which is about like a group of government officials that work to conceal and deal with conspiracy theories, not the ones that get people hurt, the very harmless ones, or else, the ones where, one of the main cast members is a dolphin man. Just in case anybody was curious what the heck that thing was. And we also have a cast. It includes Lizzie Kaplan as Reagan Ridley. Rand Ridley, her dad, is voiced by Kristen Slater. Then we got Brett Hand, the incompetent male co-lead of this task force that they're in, voiced by Clark Duke, who y'all would know from like the Hot Tub Time Machine films. He was in that one episode of Room 104. He's the son in the Crude films. Like you would recognize him. And then we also have J.R. Schempo. I don't know how you say that name. Voiced by Andrew Daly. And then we have Dr. Andre, voiced by Bobby Lee. And then we have Glenn Dolphman, voiced by John DiMaggio.
Perfect casting.
Yeah, Gigi, voiced by Tisha Campbell. And then the walking mushroom thing is voiced by Brett Gelman, which this will be his third time this year alone voicing some weird thing that the government would rather you not know about. He's the fish man you see in Arlo the Alligator Boy and the TV series I Heart Arlo. So it's very amusing in that regards. So, of course, you look at the show and it kind of looks like Rick and Morty, which I get. It has that visual distinction. What did y'all think about the overall show? Haley, you start.
I actually was very intrigued by this, which is funny because Rick and Morty is like one of the things I just cannot stand on this earth. I'm so sick of that show. I can't wait for it to end.
Honestly,
so I never have to hear about it again.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'm getting there right now. So
no, yeah, but this, I think what helps is that the trailer sells that there's a very strong character at the center of it. It feels like from this trailer, I know who this person is. I also know who this person is because everyone knows this person from their office who is really doing their best, but just is the worst at people skills.
Right.
This reads kind of like a ridiculous version of The Office that also has kind of a person of interest plot grafted onto it. And whether that works or not is that could vary wildly in quality, but what they've shown in the trailer is very promising. And I think the central lead has an extremely strong voice actress just based on this trailer alone.
Yeah, Lizzie Kaplan.
Yeah, she seems like she is firing on all cylinders with this character, like really inhabiting them.
Yeah.
So this was very exciting. The animation on this trailer was like a second off from the dialogue when I was watching it, which I was pretty sure was a YouTube issue.
Yeah.
But the material was so strong that I didn't really notice that until the end. So, vote of confidence that they didn't do the Happy Madison thing of shoving all the good jokes into the trailer.
Right. No, it looks like the animation is a lot more expressive than most adult animated shows. I love the little sequence where she's talking with the bad guy who's behind a glass cell with the eye patch, and I love his line. It's like, the denial is not just a river I stole with a laser. it was very funny.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's a very clever line. And of course, I know a lot of people are kind of worried because it's like, oh no, are they going to prove that a bunch of conspiracy theorists are correct? No. Alex Hirsch is the producer of this. He's going to make sure that ain't going to happen, especially if you know who he is.
I was to say, and everything in this trailer was very oriented towards creepypasta type conspiracy theories. very much like Twin Peaks style stuff.
Yeah. Which I think that was the smart approach. And
Mhm.
I did get a kick out of the like, wake up, sheeple. And it's like these weird mutant sheep human things.
That might have been one of my favorite visual gags.
Yeah. No, Mike, what did you think?
I also we talked about the Annecy preview way back a couple months ago, and I've always had faith in this show because I am such a big Alex Hirsch fan, and I know he's like he signed on to this because the show, like the creator, has worked on Gravity Falls and regular show, so they have plenty of experience in terms of telling a compelling yet hilarious story for 20 episodes. And the fact that they're using all of like the more mainstream conspiracy theories, like the pyramid with the eye on like the back of the dollar bill, all like the weirder stuff, like they're probably gonna address the moon landing. What are some of the other more popular conspiracy theories?
Well, in the trailer they had
snake people or Sneeple.
Yeah, or like frogmen, or and then
the
trailer,
Mothman. The Mothman is in the trailer prominently.
Yeah. I think that Mothman is voiced by Ron Funches.
Oh God, I hope so too.
That was what I was pretty sure it was him.
Yeah, no, I couldn't find information if that was him, but it's like when you hear him talk, it's like, hey there, I'm Mothman. I'm a Mothman. It came off like, oh, this is like his King Shark kind of character for the show. But we'll have to see. I love Ron Funches, so I'm super down.
Yeah, overall, just this. If the Annecy preview didn't already sell me, this took me over the edge.
Yeah, no, and then you also see like Elvis and Kennedy frozen in an army of Kennedy clones. So I think you're not supposed to take this very seriously.
No, not at all.
I'm a little worried that I guess my one worry is that with just some of the wording for Reagan's character, just how it's just like, yeah, you're strong-willed, but we can't have that. And it's like, maybe it's just because when I watched the trailer the first time, it's just like, oh, something it's rubbing me the wrong way with how they're wording it. But I get that they're saying like she has no human interaction skills, so they need someone to help with that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just worried about nothing, because it's just like, hey, you're a confident woman. We can't have that. I don't know.
I think the fact that go ahead.
As I say, following that up with the scene where she is using a power lifter to throw people into the wall made me not be so worried about that.
And also just the fact that this is created by a female showrunner. It gives me more faith that like they're gonna treat this character with some respect. Also, it's Lizzie Kaplan.
Yeah. No, and yeah, that's all the trailers. So let's move on to I'm not gonna say it's one of the worst shows of the year in terms of anime, but let's talk about OrganoidZero, the new show by the creator of Fairy Tail and Rave Masters. So, right off of the show was basically greenlit right after Fairy Tail ended. And of course, it was supposed to be part of the spring 2021 lineup. But then Netflix is like, no, we're going to buy that. And then we're going to keep it in Netflix jail. Ooh. Sorry, I can't take that term seriously, and the people who use it as a negative. Anyway. So, Mike, what did you think about this show? Let's just do overall summaries first.
Okay. Overall, I I think the first couple episodes are a little bit rough because they're like they got to go through the motions of establishing the universe, establishing these characters, and establishing the overall goal for our main protagonist, whose name is Shiki Granbell, voiced in the English dub by Sean Chiplock. And in our group chat, after watching like the first 2 episodes, I jokingly said, I swear to God, if I hear the word friend one more goddamn time. I mean, fortunately, that aspect does kind of it mellows out after a couple episodes, and once the story actually gets going, it's easier to get invested. But this show has the same problem that a lot of Hiro Mashima's other series have. Like Mashima is, for better for worse, a massive Akira Toriyama fan. So like Toriyama and so many other different creators, he has a distinct style. But as great as he is at at creating characters and all these unique designs, he's not really the best writer. And that's why like the first half of this bunch of episodes is very rough, messy, and borderline misogynistic at times. But yeah. I think the more I got into the story, the easier it was to get invested. But it's just overall it's a very sloppily executed show.
Yeah, Haley, you lucked out on not having to watch this show.
Yeah, I gotta say, just from my half remembrances of Fairy Tail back in the day, I knew this wasn't going to be for me. So
no, I understand. It's like I want to give everything a chance, because I didn't really gel with Fairy Tail just after a little bit, because then it's just like, okay, this is kind of a little bit of everything. I've seen One Piece do this better. So, and I was kind of excited for OrganoidZero. I liked the idea, Shiki being this one human who grows up among robots, has utter social anxiety of just when he finally meets another human with Rebecca Bluegarden. These names, who's voiced by Kira Buckland.
Wait, hold on. I need to comment on this. That the last names of our 2 main protagonists are the planets that they come from. Granbell is the planet with all the robots, and Blue Garden is basically home base for all of the adventurers.
Yeah. And well, it was kind of cute at first, when Rebecca shows up and Shiki's just like, oh my God, another human. And then he kind of collapses under pressure of just will you be my friend? Because he's so alone in this world, because everyone else is just a robot. And then I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting, kind of funny to see the main character in the same vein as the male lead from How Not to Summon a Demon Lord. But then all the pervasive fan servicey quote unquote jokes happen. And
see, this is what I'm talking about. And it's all shoved into those first couple episodes.
Well, it doesn't even leave after those first couple of episodes. The perversive fan service keeps popping up, but it's really distilled here, because it's yes, he doesn't know how to act in front of other humans. Even then, he probably should have known that, yeah, You don't just grab a girl's chest. Just no. I understand why they did that scene. It's for the male viewers. I understand that anime is going to anime. And I know we rail against fan service all the time on these podcasts. I'm tired of lazy fan service. Don't just do it to titillate. Do it to, I don't know, just something with substance. This is just every bargain bin fan service gags that you've seen. The sexy outfits, the boob grab jokes, which aren't funny, the creepiness of a lot of male characters never leaves, which is disappointing because it's hard to find a good lead character in this show. Rebecca is not, from what I remember, introduced boob first, so that's like pseudo a plus.
I'm so glad that my lasting legacy on this podcast will be introducing the concept of introducing a woman boob first. Just wanted to interject that.
No, and then the show just becomes kind of typical shonen battle action stuff.
Yep.
And then it introduces this kind of like emotional core to the overall story, which I kind of liked, that the robots were going to sacrifice the human, but it was all in reality an act, just so it would get Shiki off the planet so he can make friends, because that's what, like, his whole fixation on making friends was from his adopted grandfather, who was this demon lord robot on this robot planet that was a big amusement park. And it's kind of touching after the first episode to see him leave and all the robots being like, I hope he finds as many friends as he can, because they actually loved him. So it's really touching. And then you find out that Rebecca's basically a YouTube influencer.
They call them B-cubers.
It's basically futuristic YouTube.
Basically.
And yeah. And I'm not entirely sure what the angle with this is. It feels kind of pandering to, like, well, there are YouTubers around. And they also do something that I really hate from this guy's work, is that he rehashes a ton of his design work. Rebecca basically looks like every other female lead from like Rave Master and Fairy Tale, but with a different blonde wig.
And aren't there even like well, Shiki calls them dogs, but in that one restaurant, like those little white creatures with like the cone noses?
Yeah, those are from Rave Master, and they show up also in Fairy Tale, which makes me think that this whole universe, if it's connected, is wildly unpleasant and chaotic as heck, with just magic powers run amok, and sci-fi stuff. And then Happy, the blue cat, is from Fairy Tale, because that cat, or at least the design, was the little talking sidekick to the main character, the guy with the pink hair from Fairy Tale.
Oh, and in English, both versions are voiced by Tia Ballard.
Yeah. And there is also a cute little Easter egg for Fairy Tale in the second episode, which I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. And then it becomes like this Outlaw Star style space adventure where they want to go find this extremely well-endowed goddess of the universe named Mother, who apparently is like the mother of the universe and such. And apparently Shiki has some kind of connection with Mother. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it's predictable as all get out. And along the way, they go to one planet to meet this scientist that Rebecca says will help them, named Wise Steiner, who's voiced by Ray Chase, or at least the young version is voiced by Ray Chase, because apparently that planet went through a time thing and it got 20 years taken out of it. So yeah, because the original version of Professor Wise Steiner is voiced by Brooke Chandler's, when the younger version is voiced by Ray Chase. And we'll get into the voice cast. The voice cast is actually pretty good. It's got a lot of good identifiable actors.
Oh yeah, I like this voice cast quite a bit.
Yeah. But then he's just kind of like the reluctant, like mechanic scientist guy who is like, man, I don't really want to work with y'all, but I guess I'll do it. You won me over, even though it's just like, you were just going to join us anyway, weren't you? Maybe. And
he's basically the other male protagonist in Fairy Tale. I forget. Oh, I think it was like Gray Fullbuster.
Yeah. Oh, that name. Anyway, and then they get like this cute little robot character who is, or should have been, the actual mascot that we first meet, E.M. Pino, voiced by Sarah Williams. And her connection with Wise is actually very touching and such. The problem here is there are some really good story beats in world building. Like, I think there is something kind of interesting about how a bunch of adventurers have like YouTube channels and what have you. That's kind of interesting, but it's never played up more than just like, oh, Rebecca has a rival character who has more followers than her, and she's like got that like oh kind of laugh. And it's just not a very interesting like shonen anime. I think the best character of the show so far is Homura Kogetsu, who's voiced by Laura Stahl, who she's basically like a female version of Zoro from One Piece. Really daft. And she has this reoccurring gag where she's talking, and then everyone's just like, you said that out loud. And she's just like, I accidentally spoke out loud. And then she constantly keeps doing that. And she's like the most entertaining character of the story, because Shiki is just basically your generic male lead, and Rebecca is your generic female lead. It's very boilerplate shonen. And go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's why I understand why people just cannot get behind this show. I think I tolerated as much as I did because here, like, Mashima's art is very distinct, and also the English voice cast is great too. So I could enjoy this on like a very surface level shonen anime. Like, if I mentioned like the year, like I mentioned the year 2007 2008 a lot when comparing a lot of these shows that we're watching now, because that was like the year that I was one of those like unconditional anime fans where I was just kind of watching whatever just for the sake of watching anime. But now that I have a more critical eye, I'm noticing a lot more problems, especially with like specific creators. And yeah, the show is riddled with a lot of them.
Yeah, and it just doesn't know how to balance out the more serious story moments with the fan service elements. It's really frustrating because then it'll have like an interesting story beat, like Shiki is very respectful towards machines while everyone else is not. And I think that brings a lot of heart to the main character. But then it's like, oh, sexy outfits. Well, the women, all the influencers are getting kidnapped to be turned into, and I'm not kidding here, furniture for this piggish, sexist, like demon frog alien thing. And it's really creepy. It's really uncomfortable to sit through that part. And that's the point. He's supposed to be like a dirt bag, like the biggest scum bucket that you can ever find in the galaxy. That's fine. But this show is very macho and very sexist and not very good towards its female characters. And again, that's a shame because they're voiced by very talented individuals, because like we have Sean Chiplock, who fans of Godzilla Singular Point would know him as Bjork BB Burns, the guy with a scar across his forehead.
Oh, that's cool.
He's Draken from Tokyo Revengers, the guy with the ponytail and a tattoo on the side of his head. You know, the henchman to one of the main gang leaders.
Oh yeah.
And he's also Subaru from the ReZero franchise. Then we also have Kira Buckland, who's in like Tales of Arise, and she's also been in like High Rise Invasion, Burn the Witch. She's the main voice for Princess Aurora Cialis Goodrest from Sleepy Princess and the Demon Castle. She's
nice.
The main character. By the way, Haley, watch Sleepy Princess and the Demon Castle. It's probably my favorite anime from 2020. And then we had Tia Ballard, who she's in everything. She's in the current dub for Sunny Boy. She plays Mizuho, the one with the Amazon. She's in the quintessential quintuplets. Then we also have Ray Chase, who, by the way, a lot of these voice actors popped up in Vinland Saga, and I can't. It just feels like an interesting coincidence. And he's also in Demon Slayer. He's Tengen Uzui, one of the high-ranking slayers.
And Ray Chase was just in Malignant as the voice of the main villain.
Yeah. He's also in Tokyo Revengers. He's Jin Akaishi. Then we have Sarah Williams, who plays March, the adorable little girl from To Your Eternity. Oh, that show. I need to rewatch that show or continue watching it. You got Laura Stahl, who was in like The Great Pretender. She plays Yuri from Battle Game in 5 Seconds, you know, the blonde.
Oh, nice.
And Laura Stahl also voices Tao Ren from Shaman King. So
nice.
We'll get into that soon. And she's also the love interest in Dorothy from Great Pretender. But yeah, we also have like Lauren Post, Allegra Clark, Brock Powell, John Eric Bentley, who plays the robot Demon King. He's just great. He's also Tiger's Eye in Sailor Moon Eternal. So when you get to there, and then we have like Colleen Clickenbeard, who she voices this pirate captain in Eden Zero, Elsie Crimson, who is basically the redhead female lead from Fairy Tail.
Same voice actress, by the way.
Yeah. And she's also Momo from My Hero Academia. And then we have like Lizzie Freeman. And yeah, so it I don't know. It's just a bog standard shonen anime with a slight sci-fi bent to it. I wish I was enjoying it more, but I just really don't gel with it.
I think my final thoughts on Eden Zero is it's a guilty pleasure for me as someone who as someone who got introduced to Mashima's work at a later age. I don't have the same reverence for him as I do Toriyama or the creator of Yu Yu Hakusho or even Shaman King, which we'll get into in a minute. But if you're a fan of Rave Master or Fairy Tail, then this will be right up your alley.
Indeed. Just for me, there are better shonen anime out this season, or even from the last season. I would just rather watch Jujutsu Kaisen. But that's just me. And that will be our podcast. Oh wait, hold on. Sorry. We got to talk about Shaman King.
Which I am so very excited about.
All right, so Haley, let's start with you. What's your history with Shaman King?
So, God, my history with Shaman King is maybe tracked with like the history of anime in the US, honestly, because I was one of those very early adopters for anime over here. Like, we're talking, I was maybe 7 or 8 years old and there is 3 manga available at Barnes and Noble, and 2 of them are Sailor Moon and its spin-offs. So my history with Shaman King was me and my parents standing in awe in a magazine section at something, looking at something called Shonen Jump, which we were like, is this a magazine with manga in it?
I know where you're
I think
going with this.
Yeah, I want to say I was in junior high. Like I was either in 6th grade or 7th grade when this came out. And we were just like, what in the actual hell is this? This is amazing. Like, this is the peak of anime and manga here, which looking back at that, lol. But you got to understand that was a pretty momentous event for a family in the suburbs that was used to never finding any of this stuff anywhere. And Shaman King was one of the manga in the US Shonen Jump that it started with. It was like Naruto, Yu-Gi-Oh, Shaman King, God, I'm trying to Dragon Ball, I think Sandland by Akira Toriyama too. And there was like another title or two that I'm just not remembering right now. But Shaman King was one of the debut titles. And from that moment on, I was hooked on that series. Like, it's always, to me, it's got a lot of the, shonen plot points. It's a battle shonen, a lot of the stock character archetypes, but it does them just like wonky enough and like really interestingly enough to create this very unique sort of world. And I say world in a literal sense because it's one of the few manga still that I feel like has some sort of perception of a global world outside of just, I'm a teenager from Japan and now I'm fighting a bunch of stuff. It's definitely, it's still unique. Like, they're reprinting it right now, and all of my old volumes of it from 2004 are in a box somewhere. So I've been rebuying the Kodansha reprints. And some of it hasn't aged well, but a lot of it still really holds up as interesting and out of the ordinary for the shonen genre. So Shaman King has been one of my favorite series ever since almost 20 years ago. So that's where I'm coming from this with.
That's awesome. No, we can forgive a lot of the shonen elements for Shaman King since it was pretty much one of the first to do it. So you kind of have to keep that in mind when talking about this kind of stuff.
Of course.
And
certainly one of the first to do the metaphysical elements and the spiritual elements that you see later in like Jujutsu Kaisen and parts of MHA and such.
Right. Did you watch the show from 4Kids?
Of course I did. Of course. Shaman King. I used to wake up very early and then sit there waiting for it to come on at 11:30 a.m. because I think they realized it was a little too inappropriate for real children on Saturday morning.
Well, hey, that's 4Kids for you. They're like, let's bring over One Piece. How bad could it possibly be? And then they watch it and it's like, oh dear Lord, what have we done?
I really like, I think we've moved past the just endless shitting on 4Kids, but I truly did, like, looking back, I don't envy them the position they were in. They were one of the only ways to get anime pushed out here. So they got stuck with some of the biggest titles, but they got in actual FCC trouble for parts of Shaman King. And then after that, they had to put together a One Piece that wouldn't get them fined again. Like, they weren't winning that one. Like, it's unfortunate, but they just weren't.
Yeah, no, it's a shame. And I think a lot of anime fans, or at least newer anime fans, do not understand what things were like back then. I don't know. Maybe I'm sounding like too much of an old man sitting on a rocking chair on a porch being like, back in my day, we only had 3 anime distributors or something like that.
And you trying to explain to someone that to buy anime or to watch anime, you had to go to a Best Buy and buy one DVD which had 2 or to 4 episodes on it that cost you $30 USD and was sometimes marked up because of the demand for them. And that was how, and then you bought 5 different volumes of that. And that's how you watched anime in like 2007.
Hell, even
Like
even
that just
before
sounds
that,
like it came from an alien world.
even before that, I remember like as like a very young Dragon Ball fan collecting like the VHS tapes where if you line them up, like you get like the complete image on the side of the cassette tapes.
Oh my God, I forgot about those.
Yeah, no, I loved those. No,
That just dredged up a memory of me buying Tenchi Muyo tapes in Mervin's
Good Lord.
with 2 episodes on them.
oh gosh, I remember when anime used to only have 2 episodes on each. I remember renting the original Final Fantasy OVA that came out, which
God.
yeah, no, it was only 4 episodes, but you could only watch them on 2 different VHS tapes. And that was new to me because I was thinking like, oh, so there's only like 1 episode on each tape. Okay. Not realizing there was a second episode because, I was new to anime and such. Mike, what's your history with Shaman King?
So like Haley, I have a similar history with walking into Barnes and Noble on a random either Friday or Saturday night, stumbling upon probably one of the earliest US Shonen Jump issues. This was when Shaman King was like, just starting its run in print. So I was reading this and instantly hooked. I only ever saw 1 episode of the 4Kids dub, but years later, again, 2008 was when I had my first big anime phase. I watched the entire 64 episode run of Shaman King in Japanese, which is why I got so excited when in watching the new series, episode 5 ends with Megumi Hayashibara's song Oversoul, which was the
Oversoul.
Yeah, which was the original opening for the 2001 series. And I love that song. I turn it on just for that nostalgia blast every so often. Shaman King is just a great series that it's a great series, but with the caveat that the original anime ended like at a very awkward time, like before the manga actually concluded. So I'm hoping that the new series gets to tell the complete story, but we'll get more into that later.
I was gonna say, if I can interject right now, just to give some historical context, just a bit on what you're saying as well. So not only did the first anime end before the manga was completed, the manga was unceremoniously canceled before the climax.
Oh,
so
gosh.
Shaman King for a long time was very much one of the black sheep shonen shows. Like it wasn't like Bleach. Bleach was the other one that started in the first Shonen Jumps. I can't believe I forgot that. Oh my God. But Bleach and Naruto and Dragon Ball, they were always like the big 3. And One Piece. One Piece was the other one that started. I forgot the 2 biggest ones that started in the first Shonen Jump. Good work, me. But anyway, so those are the big titles. And Shaman King's popularity, it hit off with a bang, but it gets very weird and esoteric. So I'm not super surprised that it ended up canceled in Japan. And Hiroyuki Takei, the author, was not super pleased about that and ended up in a very massive legal fight around the rights to Shaman King, and finally ended up with them and left the publisher of Shonen Jump, which is Shueisha, and went to Kodansha. Eventually, I think this was also after the kind of disastrous explosion of Karakuri Doji Ultimo. Just one of my favorite weird ass mangas that makes no sense. Like it's a very weird series. But by that time, the cultural reappraisal of Shaman King in Japan grew to kind of a fever pitch where people were demanding, they wanted an ending to this. The series had no ending. It was canceled before it ended. It was literally canceled on a chapter of Manta and Anna discussing what they had to do in the climax to like resolve the entire story. So when it went, I don't remember if the series ended before or after, like permanently for sure ended before or after Take went to Kodansha. But
So
because of this, it was totally rewritten for the end and then exploded into popularity. Now there's multiple side stories and spin-offs that are going, sequels, merchandising. It took a very long time to become the kind of pillar of 2000s shonen anime and manga that it is now.
Wow.
So,
and I'm going off of memory, and Mike just said on Wikipedia, so you probably have better information than me remembering how this went.
I was going to say, on Wikipedia, the anime, the 2001 series, started in July of 2001, ended September 25th, 2002. And it looks like the manga history is interesting. The original manga started in 98, ended in 2004, and then there's a couple different spin-offs. I guess Funbari Poem lasted about a year, so from 2004 to 2005, and I don't know about the other sequels and spin-offs, because there's a handful of them.
A good chunk of them are still going. Like I just read that Take is taking a hiatus on one of them, but a lot of them are, there's like 2 or 3 that are still ongoing.
So I guess it's now my time to shine in the spotlight, to tell my incredibly complex and emotional journey of Shaman King and my experience with it. I saw 1 episode of the 4Kids show and then never again. I know. I tell such enticing stories that have all the story, the ending, and weight to those endings as a J.J. Abrams project. Sorry. No, I was not one of those. I was a Yu-Gi-Oh kid. So I was busy watching WB and watching Yu-Gi-Oh and not 4Kids' wild journey of having a program block. I watched it because I think I was at like one of my sister's volleyball tournaments that was like away from Austin. I think it was like in Seattle. And I turned on the TV. There was no WB, so I was really mad because I wanted to see the Batman and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon. Instead, I got stuck with Sonic X and whatever 4Kids brought over at the time.
What, like Ultimate Muscle or
like
whatever that food whatever that food anime was.
Oh, that was like
that might have been the same time as Magical Do-Re-Mi too.
Yeah,
I clearly watched a whole lot of 4Kids TV growing up.
No, and I mean, granted, yes, there was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but this was during the time period when they were trying to do like a second series to the 2000s TMNT, and I just did not do well at all. And so I was just like, great, a whole hour of Sonic X and 1 30-minute episode of One Piece. Joy. And then it's like, oh, Shaman King. Yeah, I've heard about this show. And then I watched it. Was not the first episode. It was like way into the tournament arc, I think. And then it was just like, really? That was it? I don't want to watch this show. So I was really excited to check out this reboot because then it's like, okay, I have a starting point. I can start fresh. And then I guess let's finally get into this. So my biggest problem with this show, and I hate to start with a negative, but it's the one thing that everyone talks about. So I say let's get it out of the way first. The pacing for this new iteration is awful. Well, not
Yeah.
awful, but it's like it's not the worst, but it's so breakneck at how fast it is trying to get through every story beat.
I'm honestly kind of surprised because they go through. I don't remember too much about the original series, but they in the 13 episodes that are available now on Netflix, they press the gas hard on like a lot of story.
Yeah, like I'm both rereading the manga and managed to find the old dub episodes online in the seven seas. And comparatively, I just bought the omnibus with volumes 10, 11, and 12 in it. And midway through that omnibus is where episode 13 ends. So that's like volume 10 of the manga.
Oh,
and
Lord.
Lily Rara doesn't show up in the 2001 anime, but the Patch Tribe stuff doesn't start until I want to say episode 25, 26.
Oh God.
Like I didn't even get that far in moving through. I didn't get that far in moving through the old dub. I think I got like through episode 19, and that's the middle of Ren fighting his family and all that jazz. So it's breakneck. It is breakneck.
And it's a shame because it's like from what I can tell, like Shaman King is one of those shonen anime that does actually stand out with its visual style.
Oh, absolutely.
And the fact that every main character looks like a Funko doll. I'm not going to apologize for that. Everyone has a giant head. This is like Code Lyoko.
100%. 100%. They all have giant bobbleheads, and they all look like the main character of their own card battling anime.
That they do. And it doesn't even get like, I wasn't even paying attention to that until we see Manta. And good Lord, he's supposed to be a high schooler, but he is the shortest. It looks like a Nejima or like that Pro Z video about like guessing an anime character's age. Like it's that kind of thing. It's just like, how old are you? And it's like, oh, you're like 14, 15, and you're like 2 feet tall. Okay.
But he acts like a middle-aged like a middle-aged man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, I mean, at least the other characters make sense age-wise. It's just like Manta is the one that like really distracted the heck out of me for the longest time for some reason.
I would argue Ryu is also extremely confusing age-wise.
Not just that.
Like
but,
I had to Google it because I told you I thought he was 17. I Googled it, and by the time of the middle of the tournament arc, he's apparently 19. So I'm guessing I'm guessing I'm not totally off with 17, 18, but
yeah.
He also looks like a middle-aged man.
Also, can we talk about the fact that like his hair honestly has a life of its own. Like every time we see him like return after being away for however long, he has like a new style to his pompadour, and it's always shaped in a heart.
I thought that was very cute, but boy, howdy, does his character not age well in terms of the story.
Nope.
Don't hit on every single young girl that you see, buddy. It is creepy as heck, especially with your design. Because he looked like a 20-year-old hitting on a teenager. So,
which is why I was trying really hard to. I was like, his age is not that far off from theirs. But when everyone else looks like a small bobblehead from like the Care Bears, it's just weird.
Well, it's the thing with like Yu-Gi-Oh and such. Like Yu-Gi looks like he's 5, but he's in high school. And it's like,
and we're supposed to believe he's in a romantic like tug of war with Anzu, who looks age appropriate.
And then when he turns into Yu-Gi-Oh, or the Pharaoh, he grows like 2 feet higher. And it's just like, whoa, okay. But yeah, And then some of the character dynamics were bugging me, and I think that is because of the breakneck pace that cripples, or no, it just disrupts the character arcs for some of these characters. Like, let's talk about Anna, who's voiced both in the 2003 version and the 2021 version by Tara Jane Sands, which we'll talk about this with the dub, but they bring back a lot of the 4Kids actors for back then.
They bring back some, but not all of them.
Yeah, no, not all.
Very extensively about the dub later. I have so many feelings about this dub.
Because, well, it's interesting because not that like, oh, 4Kids isn't around anymore, so that means nothing is left. Like, none of the actors are working anymore. That's not true. They've been working for ages and such. You could probably see some of them pop up in like the most random places for like anime or direct-to-video film stuff.
Or you can go see the Book of Mormon touring and see Andrew Rannells playing.
Gosh.
I'm never getting over that. I'm never getting over that the original Shaman King dub had Andrew Rannells as Talron. I'm never recovering from that.
Is that like a what was his name? He passed away like 2 years ago. He was part of 90210 and
Luke Perry.
Yeah, Luke Perry being in that Mortal Kombat cartoon from the 90s or something like that.
Oh
No.
God.
So no, Andrew Rannells was dead broke at the time that he did a lot of this stuff. Like, I think every time he goes on Stephen Colbert plays a new weird clip of one of his 4Kids days and just watches him squirm uncomfortably about the whole thing.
Gosh.
Not because he was in the touring production of Pokemon Live, which I absolutely saw when I was a child. He was James, and you can find that whole thing on YouTube, and it's wild. But
well, by the way, Andrew Rannells has been around recently. He's Andrew in Big Mouth, the gay kid, and he's he's William Clockwell in Invincible. So
that's not too surprising, because he's kind of in that same troupe as like a lot of the contemporary comedy actors.
Mm-hmm.
But it is interesting to look back at some of these voice actors and be like, oh my gosh, I forgot that they played some of these characters. Like Tara Jane Sands is Mokuba and such. And it's like, oh my goodness. And then she pops up in like My Hero Academia and such. And it's like, I love this. I love finding out about voice actor stuff. Sorry, go on it.
So one hill I will die on is like those 4Kids dubs. They had to cut out a lot. They did a lot of weird editing, did a lot of weird cultural editing that is just borderline. Like, we can argue whether that was racist or not, some of the like rice balls to jelly donuts or whatever. But they cast the shit out of a lot of these shows. Like me, when I was going back and rewatching the Shaman King dub, like, yeah, not all the dialogue is great. Some of it's hokey. But like the actual performances they got out of these people were beyond solid. And there's a lot of really great talent in there. So the fact that they got a lot of that talent back for this dub makes it very, very unique and very special. Like, we talk about good dubs in our anime podcast when they do the simul dubs. Like, the closest dub to this Shaman King 2021 dub that I can think of is Skate the Infinity, their dub, because it was just, they went balls to the wall crazy on it. And this Shaman King dub is so unique in that it marries like a lot of the old school dubbing kind of, it feels like a cartoon in the best way.
Right.
Like, you've got some hyper realistic voices in there. Like, I'm blanking on her name, but the woman who's playing Ren now, as much as I really wanted to hear Andrew Rannells come back for this inexplicably, she is fantastic. She does a really
Laura. We just talked about her, Laura Stahl.
Laura Stahl.
Yeah, she plays Tal Ren, and no, it's I guess Let's talk about the voice cast, because we said it's a combination of both the 4Kids and the modern day dub. So we have like Abby Trott as Yo. Then we have
who I think is great.
Yeah, no, Abby Trott does a good job as Yo. And by the way, she's Nezuko from Demon Slayer.
Nice.
As as interesting as that is, because of Nezuko having that mouth thing. So
I was gonna say, oh, good for her. This is the most lines she's had in a while.
no, I mean she's done a lot. Like that's the thing. A lot of these actors will pop up all over the place. So it's not like they stopped working after one show. It's just you always want to hope to get attached to one of these long running shows and what have you. Manta is voiced by Oliver Wyman, who was in both the original 4Kids dub and in this dub as Manta. Same with Tara Jane Sands as Anna. Amidaramu.
Amidamaru.
Sorry, I misread that as an N. Amidamaru is voiced by Keiji Tang, who, if you watched like King and Ashura, he's the main character in that. He's Lubu in Record of Ragnarok. While in the original, he was voiced by Sean Schemmel.
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 He was voiced by Sean Schemmel in the previous incarnation from 2003, which is really weird to think about because he's now the current voice actor for Goku. So, and then we have Rio, who's voiced by Albert Wesker himself, DC Douglas in this one, but also Sean pulling double duty as Rio, which I remember when I heard him talk, it was like he had a weird French accent. I don't know what they were doing with that, with some of these characters. 4Kids did that a lot. And then we have like Faust the Eighth, who's voiced by Matt Kaplan here, and then but in the original by Sam Riegel. He's not here, but one of the other let's see.
I was gonna say interesting fact about that though is Sam Riegel only voiced Faust for like 10 episodes in the dub, and then Kaplan took over. So Kaplan did play Faust in the original dub, and no one's ever been able to explain to me why that happened.
Yeah,
probably availability, I'm guessing.
I'm guessing that too. And then Hororo, or Horo. Yeah, yes. Sorry. Yeah, Horo is voiced by Michael Sinter Nicholas, who everyone would know as like Dean Venture and such, or he's the male lead from Your Name and what have you. He's pulling double duty as both from the original and in this show. And then we have Bernard Forcher as Basin, the spirit for Tao Rin. Then we have like Erica Harlatcher, Wayne Grayson, Veronica Taylor,
Dan Green.
Yeah, Dan Green shows up. Which I'm so happy to see him. And then Tao Jun is voiced by Lisa Ortiz, who also voiced like Amy Rose from the Sonic franchise. And
I want to say there is a villain of the week in like one of the Ren episodes, one of the creepy zombie body parts, and it's Eric Stewart, and that killed me because that dude's been retired basically since they changed the Pokemon cast. I don't think he's been in a single thing since Pokemon ended. And Eric Stewart, was James, was Brock in Pokemon, was Seto Kaiba. The dude basically voiced every weirdo that you loved growing up in anime, and he was using the James voice for that character, and I just lost my mind. Like this is like nostalgia in the best way. Like I was just so happy to hear so many of these people again. Like Megan Hollingshead shows up in one episode. I think she's Ren's mother. And I was just like, holy shit, I recognize, like, these are voices from my childhood. So it's like, you hear them and you go, oh my God. I can't say enough good things about this dub. I'm just so glad they couldn't get everybody. I'm not surprised that like Sebastian Arcelis and Andrew Rannells didn't show up, but they really went far to try and get as many people back as possible.
No, it's really nice to see Dan Green show up again because he was always such like a huge 4Kids like part of, like he was in like everything that 4Kids put out, and then of course a tragic accident like he decided to retire after that, and then and then slowly he's been coming back and such, and then of course voicing Yugi like every other time, and like the voice cast is really stellar. And I think what works about this show is that like a lot of dialogue is already pretty corny. So
the actors just kind of lean into it, which is what I love.
Yeah. So, and I think that's pretty stellar. I'm wondering how much actually had to be changed from the original show if they got in trouble and such. Granted, I can make a guess of what areas needed to and such, but yeah, let's get back to the pacing, because I know we just kind of sidetracked into talking about the voice cast and just how good they all are.
There is one thing I want to bring out about the dub cast before we go back to the pacing, because there's a lot of small side characters, and what is interesting is they're getting some very interesting people to do these very small bit parts. Like I mentioned, Megan Hollingshead, who has been in just about everything. But like Lily Rara is played by Tinsel Corey. I'm like Googling this right now. And she played Emily in the Twilight movies. And as soon as I saw her picture, I was like, holy crap, it's the girl, one of the Quileutes from Twilight. And Billy Anderson, the guy they hitchhiked from, is the guy who voices Rigby in the regular show. So they're just like, they're really kind of swinging for the fences with some random stuff with like really interesting on point casting for the characters that didn't really have voices before, because these are characters that were either adapted out or because they had 7 people doing the 4 kids voices, they were like 9 out of 10 side characters in Shaman King were voiced by Andrew Rannells. Yeah. Like if you go back in the credits.
Oh yeah.
But I just wanted to bring those 2 in particular up because I thought it was super interesting that they were like getting some what you would consider names, in industry in general to voice these like one-off characters. So this dub it's not I just really like this dub. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. This is a very distinct dub, and it's a lot more interesting to talk about in terms of just like what they exactly did to bring it to life and just who they got. Because they could have easily just done what Sentai Filmworks does when they release Netflix dubs for the most part on Blu-ray. They have to, I'm assuming they do this because of some kind of legal copyright thing. They have to recast the whole crew, and for some reason, and like, but here it's just like, hey, this is a very important series, so let's make sure that we can bring back as many of the old cast that we can, and bring in some new talent to those who can't return. But yeah, let's get back to the pacing, because I think the pacing hurts a lot of the character arcs, because we have like Anna, and I got my patience with her character grew very thin, because it's like they want to build up that she loves Yo and that there's this great romance to build up from there, but there's not. It's not a good romance in my opinion. It seems very one-sided, and Yo is just like, all right, whatever. And I don't know, maybe that's just me, that I'm being way more bugged about this than I should. I don't know.
I kind of see where you're coming from, but at the same time, I also just really love Anna, because she's one of those like tough, no nonsense characters that are usually only entertaining when everyone else is kind of a bumbling idiot.
No. I mean, what do you think, Haley?
So, like, I think the pacing does hurt her arc a lot. One thing that stays with me about Shaman King is the way that Takei lines up panels and creates tension in the way he writes the manga, which gives a lot of characterization to Anna that I think is missing from both the 2001 series and this series. This series is blasting by so fast that you get no sense that Anna has any sort of feelings for anyone, honestly. It takes out a lot of her smaller character moments and the shared glances and shared time that she spends with Yo that's not dedicated to training, which exists in the manga and exists in the 2001 anime. The 2001 anime was made in 2001, so her tsundere stuff is played up a lot. And I gotta give kind of props to this, to the new version of the anime, because aside from her slapping Manta, I almost called him his 4 kids dub name, Jesus Christ, Manta. Aside from her slapping Manta in episode 2, 3, I don't remember. She's introduced very quickly in this series because we get like almost a volume and a half before she shows up in the manga. But aside from her slapping Manta, she's not really, she's tsundere, but she's not the punching the lead for fun tsundere. She is the my fiance is kind of a blithering idiot who, if I leave him to his own devices, is not going to be focused on the shaman tournament. So she's doing what she can to get him on the path to being ready for this world-changing thing that's going to come up. And knowing how the story goes, I know the pacing is going to kind of ruin one of the things that's going to be great about this series, is that it's going to explore a lot of content from the manga that didn't get adapted in the first series. And one of the biggest parts of that, and it's 2 or 3 volumes long in the middle of the tournament arc, is a flashback to why Yo and Anna are engaged. And it's one of my favorite setups in manga history. Like, it's very rare that I believe in and ship the canon ship for whatever a manga is, but Yo and Anna, as they're written in the manga, are a really incredible pair. Like, you really get to grow to love these 2 children, really trying to figure out how to achieve what they want for each other, but are also just incredibly devoted to each other. There's never any like dumb harem shit with them. You never really doubt that they love each other in the manga, and that doesn't come across in this anime, and that's going to make future things suffer. Like, there's the groundwork for some things that are very important has been laid already. Like the very famous "Can I Sleep Beside You" scene was way too rushed in this version. Like, it's just it does not have the impact it does in the manga when it comes in the middle of volume 10. You know, you've gotten to know these kids and you're just like, this is significant because you've seen Anna be vulnerable at this point. You know that she loves him. You know that she's not beating him up. You know a lot about her, even though she's an extremely mysterious figure at this point. And and that in particular, that scene is a huge plot point that they go through in a minute and a half. Like, that scene is so insignificant as it's portrayed in the 2021 anime. And maybe it's like, because I know what's going to happen in the future, I'm like, this needed room to breathe. Like, so much of Anna needs room to breathe because that's part of her character, that's part of her allure, is that she is the one who sits there kind of gazing out the window slowly and is thinking of something in an entirely different world. And that's the mystery you're supposed to want to find out about her. Like, why is Yo standing beside this woman? Why does she draw people in the way she does?
Right. No, and because it, like, they go through like some pretty big story arcs, like even by like the 13th episode for Netflix. It's really just like, it's hard to take in how much development there was for all of the characters. It's the same problem that I and everyone else had with the Soul Hunter reboot that happened, I think, in 2018, if I remember correctly, where they shoved like 52 episodes worth of plot into 24 episodes.
Yikes.
So you know how that's going to feel. And I think that's because I remember like the one episode that I saw of Shaman King. It basically was just like, okay, I'm in like a filler episode or something like that. I don't think I'm in a very story centric like moment in time. But of course, this was the first episode I've ever seen, so it's like,
so you just have like no idea what's going on.
No. So it's like, I get it. They're fighting. They're in this tournament. That's all. And then there's all these random characters. We haven't even seen the one black character from this show yet, and
that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, luckily they did. Like one of the things that this new reboot does is actually fix some of the controversial design choices that the original. Well, not. They fixed some of the more problematic design choices that the original show had.
Let's just call it what it is. The character who is named Jocko now, it's a black man named Choco Love, designed with huge lips and with one of the most crazy stereotypical backstories for a black character I've ever seen. When I say that this manga was important to me, I don't mean that it was free of flaws. Looking back on that, it is horrifyingly bad.
Yeah,
but
no,
they've kind of actually made him, from what they've announced, they're going to make him in line with how 4Kids portrayed him, which probably the better choice.
Yeah, no, you look at the design of the old version of the character, and it's like, oh no. It's like anime. We're quite not progressive yet.
Going back to the pacing for a second, I just found out on Wikipedia that this new anime is only going to be 52 episodes, which does worry me, but it also explains why so much of the preliminary fight, like the preliminary battles for the shonen fight, they sped through all of that. Also, the Tao arc is, I think, at most 2 episodes.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Because I think what they're trying to do is the point of this reboot is, and I hope that's the case. I hope that this is a chance to actually see the ending through to the end.
I think that's the thing. It's like they want to get. It's kind of like what Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood did. They want to get you through the moments that you all obviously know about, but they want to get to the part where they actually get back to the story beats that the manga never got to, or like the original anime never got to, and such. So then, I
was gonna say, so the end of this 13 episode block is basically the end of where, if you've watched the 2001 anime, that it remained faithful to the narrative.
Right.
Okay.
So for some context, things start diverging wildly around this point in 2001s. Even though this was already written, Lily Rara does not show up in the 2001 anime at all. So that's when things start changing.
Wait, who? Which character?
Lily Rara, the one who showcases the evil patch. She tries to stop Yo and Ren and their traveling band. No worries.
And did they introduce that weird Tanuki and Fox Spirit characters in the original show?
Yes.
I don't remember them, but boy, those designs are something.
Especially
so that was
Paunchy.
Just I was like, woof. That was fascinating to me, because their designs have been censored in every single version of this show and manga from the first moment that it came out, except for the 2021 anime.
Of all things.
I'm not even joking. I went back to the manga I just bought And that scene where Monta's being I don't know how to say this well, but the scene where Monta's being crushed inside Ponchi's balls while the Ren looking one, the Ren and Stimpy Ren looking one, pisses on him. That's not in the manga I just bought, and there's no reason for them to censor that stuff now. That wasn't in the original anime. That was censored in the Shaman King book I had as a kid, because I remember that. I'm amazed that got through.
I know, it's funny. It's like, out of all the things to adapt properly, you chose this scene. I mean, and I know we're kind of dunking on this new version just because the pacing is like the biggest sore point of the show, but it's like, I still like the characters. I like their interactions. I like the corny shonen-ness of it all. I mean, this thing was from like over 2 decades ago. You gotta give it some slack that it's going to feel like an archaic shonen anime in some regards.
I really like that they kept the setting in 1999 to 2000 for this show. Like, they didn't update it. They've kept, like, no one has a cell phone. People are talking to each other on pagers. Like, they've kept all of those vibes, which I think serves the series very well.
Yeah.
That's probably why I got such a nostalgic blast, even though I never really finished the English dub from 4Kids, because I watched it all in Japanese, but it still felt so familiar, like the characters and the setting.
One thing I do want to say about the pacing is breakneck, but it's also weird what they decide to focus on, because the one segment that doesn't feel like it's completely blasting through everything is the arc where Ren goes to confront his father. It's about the same length as it is in the original anime, which is weird because it gives it an importance in the narrative that it really doesn't have in the series. Like, if you were to watch just the 2021 anime, you would think that one of the central points of this series is Ren taking down his father, which is not the case at all. Like, the Faust battle in the 2001 anime went way longer than Ren taking down his father. And that tracks with, like, the way the characters speak to each other. And I appreciate them keeping Ren as the token evil teammate who everyone knows is evil, and nobody nobody does anything about it. Like, that's one of my favorite things about Shaman King, is he's just obviously evil the whole damn time. And the only reason anyone puts up with it is because Yo is brain dead. And it's just like, no one who sees ghosts can be totally bad. And it's like, they can.
Yeah.
No. That guy is right there. Again, like, no one forgives Ren. No one wants to be around Ren. And I am glad they kept that aspect of the show, which is a fun one.
I mean, that's always it's always that fun, amusing thing where it's just like, aren't you all just giving him too much of a free pass? He just brutally murdered a bunch of people, and it's like, oh, you guys are silly. He's a good guy now. Look at that. That's kind of a smile on his face. Yeah, that's a smile because he wants to murder us. Yeah, but it's still.
When did that trope begin? Did it begin with Dragon Ball and like Vegeta and stuff, or is it even older? And but because Dragon Ball was like one of the first anime to be in the US, that just became more popular from there.
So asterisk on this, I think it's from Hokuto no Ken, Fist of the North Star. I think.
Okay, that makes sense.
That would make sense, because then it's like, because Fist of the North Star was super influential, and then like that was the series you had to be. And then unfortunately we got stuff like Violence Jack, which sucks.
And my memory of reading that very long ago, I'm buying the new volumes now, but they're only at number 2. But my memory of that series is very fuzzy. So it could be Dragon Ball, but something is pinging me, and I think it's Hokuto no Ken.
I mean, it would make sense if it was like Dragon Ball, because like Vegeta is very much that character.
Mhm.
He murdered a bunch of Goku's friends, but Goku's just like, but look at him now. He's going to be a dad. He's great. And it's like, okay, you want to trust the blood psycho killer? Okay, fine. Okay. I hope we survive this. No.
So getting back to my point about the pacing, though, I got sidetracked by just Ren is one of my favorite characters ever. I
Yeah.
love Ren. I had a crush on Ren as a kid. That was weird, but that explains a lot of my taste in anime.
Yeah.
Um,
No
But
problem.
but the pacing in this show really makes you think, because we do stop and slow down just a bit to get a lot of this backstory for Ren, and it's relatively, I don't want to say it's well paced, but it's not breakneck paced. So it makes you think that this is way more important than it is, and it's not. Like, this is, in the anime or in the manga, this is about the average length of time that we go into somebody's backstory. And it just happens to be in like an interlude action sequence kind of thing. So we get just as much time in the manga on Manta's family in the wake of the Faust battle, which was also very bizarrely censored for this anime. Like, you don't really even know what happened to Manta because it's moving so fast, but he is disemboweled.
I got that, but
Faust.
but the visuals were not telling of that. Like,
Exactly.
no, and then it's just like, you're going to move to America, Manta. You're going to lose your friends because we're parents that control you, and we're going to take control of your life. And he's like, no, my friendship with Yo has been the best thing to ever happen. Goodbye. Dang it, I forgot my keys and wallets.
Well, and the thing is, though, a lot of those moments land a lot better when they come after 5, 6, 7 volumes of being with these characters. The pace screws with so much of the characterization. Like, when does Manta do that? Episode 7, 8?
Just about, like very much like halfway through to 13. Let me see. I'm trying to find the let's see, Yo versus Hororo. Yeah, right here. Progress, episode 8.
Yep, that's the one.
I was gonna say, because that happens in volume 8 in the series. And I know people are gonna listen to this and be like, how does she know what volume this happens in? And I will say, while I was watching this, I was remembering word for word panels from the manga. That was how often I read this series growing up. So I have a general idea of where a lot of this stuff happens, is what I'm trying to say.
No.
But you go into things like Tao June. Like, June has a whole character arc. It's not like you would know it from this series, but she has a pretty substantive character arc in these beginning volumes. Ryu has an entire character arc that makes all of his bouncing around randomly into different contexts feel a bit more natural than it does in this anime. Yo, like, part of why the Faust battle is a key point in the manga and the original anime is that we've had multiple episodes to see how nothing phases him. But we get to the Faust battle in episode 7 and he's losing his cool, but we don't really know Yo at this point. We just don't. Like, we kind of know that he likes Manta because Manta's always around.
He likes also music.
Yeah, we know he likes music. We know he's got a shirt with a weed leaf on it for some inexplicable reason in Japan.
Because reasons.
Yeah, this manga was very subversive. I'm going to be honest. This manga is very subversive for this time. There is a plot point for the rest of the show, and I'm going to spoil this briefly, is a teen pregnancy. That is a huge plot point in this entire series, is Anna being pregnant. And
okay.
Like, no, I'm not even kidding. But like, there's a lot going on beneath the surface that, because this is moving so quickly, it's hard to grasp hold of. And they've cut a lot of stuff with Faust out, because Faust later becomes, speaking of rival characters who inexplicably join parties, even though they've committed horrible atrocities. Faust later becomes part of their traveling party.
Of
But
course he does.
they've cut out everything that kind of makes that even vaguely justifiable at this point. So I'm interested to see how they pull that off in this anime.
So it's going to be
like they will.
So it's going to be like that red-haired male character from the A Silent Voice film who just kind of shows up and does nothing, but it's just like he's important to the plots for some reason, and it's like, really, why?
And the thing is, he's like really dark comedic relief in a lot of the manga.
Oh, I love that.
Which makes but they took out one of the best scenes in the manga when they all fall off of the jet and everyone's falling. Faust falls next to our whole clan, and Ren's like, you're not doing anything. And Faust is like, I'm so doped up on morphine, I'm just gonna hit the ground and then stitch myself up and leave. And like, we really could have used that laugh in that scene, because they didn't capture the gravity of that sequence very well, I don't think.
No,
almost everything wrong with the series is related to the pacing of it. It really is.
No, and it's like the action's a lot of fun. The animation looks great. I've seen I've seen clips of the original, and it has its moments, but it has that like Yu-Gi-Oh problem where a lot of it's standing around because these characters are really oddly designed and sometimes overly detailed. So
and this was like during the early years of digital animation, where like things
digital paint.
Yeah.
So no, it's like you can forgive a lot of that 2003 show for that, or 2001 show for that, just because it's like, yes, we're still trying to work out with digital painting. That's why everything looks a little flat, and we don't know how to animate super detailed characters yet. We don't have a mappa yet. So, but like, I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed this way more than Eden Zero. I thought the action was better than Eden Zero. The character dynamics were better. Granted, Rio hitting on every girl that he sees is creepy as hell. And I'm not sure where or why DC Douglas is making him sound kind of like some kind of Elvis individual or something.
I bet it's probably like a bunch. He's probably ad-libbing like as much as he can because of the way that the character is designed.
I'm sure, and the visual gag of his pompadour is very funny. But
and we're about to get into some real weird ass creepy territory with Ryu hitting on people in his vicinity too, and I know it's coming.
So okay, so are we getting into
the character of Lyserg is going to be a whole bag of worms in many ways. So I don't know how they're going to handle this at all. For
context, Lyserg, you would see this individual in the opening and such, green hair and all that jazz. So
correct.
We'll have to see. I'm curious. I definitely want to check out this second half because now like I'm invested with the story now. I want to see how they go about with talking about Native American culture for one side. I mean, that's the thing with anime. Like when I was watching this, and it's just like, oh, joy, Native American culture through the eyes of anime. Oh, let's pray for the best.
One thing I will say for this, a lot of cultural stuff in anime is not portrayed well, and we just talked about Jocko, who is a disaster on literally every front. But they do a relatively good job in the manga regarding general Native American and American culture, which is kind of fascinating in its own weird way. There are a lot of other cultures that come through in later chapters that, to my memory, which could be faulty because I last read a lot of this when I was at most 14, is at least portrayed respectively, maybe stereotypically, but respectfully in some way.
Right. No, I'm curious. It didn't seem as bad. I've seen bad cultural appropriation and such from anime, one of my favorite shows from the 90s, G Gundam, is wildly, terribly problematic.
I'm kind of scared to watch G Gundam now, like through a modern lens. But
Like I'm sure it's going to be a lot of popcorn fun to watch, but also be like, oh, right, 90s. All right.
yeah,
But anyway, I enjoyed this Shaman King adaptation. I'm definitely looking forward to the second half, and I'm wondering if they will slow down at all, because I feel like the original show was made to have breaks in between story arcs. So
yeah.
that's how.
Overall, I really enjoyed watching this. I as far as like what I'm looking forward to, again, I if nothing else, I just want a proper conclusion. And yeah, for the rest of the anime to slow down, because the pacing is like very intense. But at least we've gotten through like at least all of the all of what took like the first anime series more time. So now we can focus on the stuff that the original anime didn't cover. So that's exciting.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, check it out if y'all already haven't.
One last note I want to make is, if you're not into this, Discotek is releasing the 4Kids dub on Blu-ray in October. So you will have a means to watch the original dub if you're so inclined, and they have the original 2001 series TVD. So at some point in the near future, all 3 series will be available for you to compare and contrast.
No, that'll be fun to see. And I know we made fun of 4Kids a lot talk in this section, but when you give the writers for 4Kids, or like whoever handles like the current Pokemon stuff and Yu-Gi-Oh stuff as well, like give them a little wiggle room and they can bring in something delightful. Like I still remember from the third Pokemon movie, the one with Entei, and when Team Rocket's in the room with all the unknown in it, James, aka the best character, gives off probably the best line in the movie, where it's just like, I haven't seen this many strange letters since I put out that personal ad.
James is a true Pokemon master. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
No, it's like that thing where a lot of people are like, who watch original Power Rangers, are like, okay, teens, whatever, whoever. The main characters are Bulk and Skull. It's that kind of mindset.
And Rita Repulsa.
Yeah, well, it's like that's how I think everyone feels about Pokemon. Is that like, I know we had to follow Ash, whatever, and then like anytime Team Rocket's on screen, it's like, yay. Anyway,
we're the best.
Yeah. So now we move on to something that you would not really think Disney would touch. More anime. Because they made an anthology series based off of the Star Wars universe. Essentially giving a couple different studios and directors like a pretty sizable budget for each short, and just to say like, make a short that takes place within the universe.
And to be clear, none of these shorts are canon, which I think is the first immediate positive, because you're not tied down to a specific era in Star Wars lore. So you can tell any sort of story you want. And also the fact that Disney hired like seven different anime studios, just from a visual perspective, you get to see, if you're like someone who is very unfamiliar with anime, this is still like comparatively like a small sample size compared to like the rest of the industry, but it's varied enough that you get a nice taste of like, you know, more styles than just, oh, this is what Star Wars would look like if it was made by the Pokemon people, or I don't know, if Star Wars looked like Gurren Lagann, which we'll get to the trigger short in a second.
Yeah, so there are 9 shorts in total. We have The Duel, which is animated by Kamikaze Doga, directed by Takanobu Mizuno, which is very much basically a Kurosawa samurai flick, but within the Star Wars universe. It's about a wandering, well, as far as we know, Jedi who wanders into a village that's being overrun by bandits. And even though the village tries their best to fend off the bandits are led by a Sith, and the Ronin steps in, and you think like, oh, this is the Jedi character. Plot twist, or well, they show it in the trailer. The Ronin is a Sith or an ex member of the Sith army, and it's interesting because that's kind of exactly what a Ronin is. Like they used to be samurai that were loyal to the Emperor to pretty much till they die. Ronin were like, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to do what I need to distance myself and just wander the countryside, helping out when I can.
The literal definition of a Ronin is a samurai without a lord or master.
Right. So it was really interesting to see this first short with this really cool black and white CGI style. Like
I didn't realize that was CGI until I looked it up later. They did a really good job of hiding it with the with all the details they added.
Basically, if they tweaked the animation a little to be smoother, this would look just like Seven Samurai, or Samurai 7. The anime at future take on the famous samurai film. It's like Seven Samurai or Samurai 7. I forgot which one is which.
You were right the first time.
Okay. And then we have Tatooine Rhapsody, which is animated by Studio Colorido and directed by Taku Kimura, which has a Jedi Padawan essentially joining this wandering band. And this was interesting to me because it's like, at first it was kind of off-putting that it's like, really, a rock band in Star Wars? And then you remember in the Clone Wars that they introduced a 50s era diner. So it's like,
nothing is off the table.
Yeah. And you can absolutely tell that the Pokemon, the studio that made the Pokemon shorts for online worked on this, because these human characters that look very cutesy and such all very much have a strong Pokemon vibe coming from them.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it makes sense when you kind of look at those shorts and then look at this one with all the cute designs and like the 3-headed Oni drummer guy. That's probably my favorite design of the characters in the shorts. And you also get one of those slug aliens that Jabba is a part of, who's voiced by Bobby Moynihan, by the way. And it's cute. Just like they save their friend from getting executed by Jabba, and then they make a new fan base from the audience that was there. I wish they chose a better lead actor for the main character, because they have Joseph Gordon-Levitt as our main character, and I feel bad that he had to sing.
I don't think it's his. I can't blame him for like the way they translated the song. I think maybe 2 workarounds they could have done is either they let the song like play out in Japanese, and then just kind of in universe explain that they're singing in a different language, or or like make up some like alien language, because not everyone in the Star Wars universe speaks common.
Right. And no, it
One
could
thing
be
I
just
actually, sorry, one thing I actually want to interject here. I didn't watch Visions, but Joseph Gordon-Levitt is actually I've seen this a couple of times as criticism. He's actually a pretty decent singer. Like there's a cover he did of Bad Romance, I want to say like 10 years ago now, that I actually like almost better than Lady Gaga's in some respects, because for one thing, he actually speaks French, so he put some really fun things in the bridge.
nice.
So I definitely am agreeing with Mike here that there was probably some sort of mitigating factor that made him sound so weird, because from everything I've seen of him, he's a very good musical performer.
So yeah, that might be the situation, because I didn't hate this short. It's usually the one that's considered the weakest. Because why not? A rock band within the Star Wars universe. That's kind of fun. And to see Jabba's tail in the back, like just kind of like tap into the beat.
Hell, even Boba Fett is like tapping along.
Yeah. And then we get to the one that usually everyone seems to think is the best one. The Twins, which is animated by Studio Trigger. I wonder how you could tell. And directed by Hiroyuki Imaishi, which is about like these twins who were brought up in the life of the dark side. And the brother is just like, no, I don't want to be part of the dark side anymore. I want to chart my own journey and stop us from using this huge, powerful crystal to power a giant laser cannon to blow up something. At least that's what I thought it was. Like, was it supposed to be a laser cannon? Like, in between the two?
I'm pretty sure it was like they were building a new Star Destroyer.
Right. Or like that one of those things from like The Last Jedi where it has like the power of a Death Star laser, but is on the but it is in like the frame of a Star Destroyer and what have you. And yeah, it's Studio Trigger covering Star Wars. It's got bombastic action, over the top visuals, the most sturdy X-Wing like out of any X-Wing fighter in Star Wars history. And a very straightforward plot, which isn't a bad thing, because Star Wars at its best is when it's straightforward, not when it's focusing on the politics or the trade stuff. It's just these two souls with different ideologies fighting one another. And then Studio Trigger pulling a Last Jedi with a visual moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like this one. It's a lot of fun, and it definitely helps that they have a good voice cast for the two twins.
Alison Brie and Neil Patrick Harris are fantastic.
Yeah, they're the best. They are just hamming it up, and I love it. They are aware of what kind of story this is. They're not trying to be too serious, but they're not like 4 kids dubbing it all and such. And it's just a lot of fun. Mike, what did you think about this one?
It's not quite my favorite, but I just love the trigger of it all, and how over the top the action can get.
I mean, like, weren't you a little shocked that the X-Wing thing survived all of that crashing against the Star Destroyer?
Only a little bit.
I mean, it was. I mean this as a joke. I don't think it's a deal breaker. It's just like, it's like that joke in Game Night where they won't let a glass table be destroyed. It's that kind of thing where it's just like, this is the sturdiest X-Wing I've ever seen. And of course, it ends with Neil Patrick Harris's character cutting a Star Destroyer in half. You gotta have fun with that.
You can tell that the people behind this one really love The Last Jedi to end on that moment.
Yeah. And it's a very sweet story too, like how he's just hopeful that he'll one day meet his sister again. And then moving on, we have The Village Bride, which is animated by Kinema Citrus and directed by Hitoshi Haga. And it's about this Jedi who is basically exploring this planet kind of like low key, because I'm sure this kind of takes place during a time period where the Jedi were all being hunted.
Yep.
And steps in to prevent this marriage sacrifice thing happening among the village people that she encounters. This one was also really good. I enjoyed the philosophical quandary of our main character, and the visuals looked great. It was a lot of fun to see the battle droids from the prequel films in this short.
Yeah, that was I didn't expect that in a short that was otherwise pretty serious and a little bit somber with the whole, like sacrifice angle.
Yeah.
But as far as the animation goes, and just the overall narrative, yeah, this one's like it's top 5 for me.
And this one, I mean, all of these have great voice casts, but our lead character F is voiced by Karen Fukuhara, who was Kipo from Kipo and Age of Wonder Beasts, and she's also Glimmer from the She-Ra Netflix series. So that was very cool to me to find out, because I was like, her voice sounds familiar. Who is she? And then we got like Nicole Bloom as the bride character, and she's been in like OKKO, and she was Emily in that Until Dawn game from
nice,
from like almost a decade ago. That's a great horror game. I love that one. And we also have like Christopher Sean and Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa and Andrew Kishino and Stephanie Shea. Like, they're great. And then our next short is The Ninth Jedi, which is animated by Production IG and written and directed by Kinji Kamiyama, who you know what? We actually talked about him recently.
Yep.
Yeah, it's wild how this guy keeps popping up. And I love it. It's just funny. Because he did, like Napping Princess, and he's co-directing the Blade Runner Black Lotus, and he's also directing the upcoming Lord of the Rings anime film.
God, I'm jealous for his existence right now.
Yeah, he gets to work on a bunch of stuff, like really high profile stuff. And basically, The Ninth Jedi plays out very much like a murder mystery thriller. A bunch of Jedi are travel and find themselves at this temple above this planet that crafts lightsabers. And there are supposed to be 9 Jedi there, and 7 of them are already there. And now they're wondering, like, who are the last Jedi that are going to be there. And then on a planet below, a young girl and her Smith father, who makes the lightsabers, gets harassed by the it's the Empire, right? That says like, hey, don't make the they get harassed by Jedi hunters. And fortunately for us, the young girl does survive and make it to the temple above the planet. Unfortunately, it turns out that the Jedi that were waiting there
are all Siths.
Yeah. And this one was probably the most graphic of the shorts, because you see characters get sliced in half, and it's like, oh, this is supposed to be from Disney. I mean, not like Star Wars was never gory, but it's like, I don't know. I'm not expecting to turn on Disney Plus to see one Jedi slice a Sith Lord in half. Or see like a pretty decent amount of blood. By the way, the voice cast in this one was pretty good, except for one person, but mostly because of just recent news and stuff that has resurfaced about his. We'll get to that when we get to that. But the main girl, La Cara, is voiced by Kimiko Glenn. She is everywhere this year. Centaur World, the My Little Pony movie.
Close
Good
enough.
on her. Yeah, close enough. Good on her. And then we have like Andrew Kashino, who plays the Jedi that got them all there. And then we have Ethan, the actual one Jedi that showed up among the Siths, played by Masayoka. Then we got Rodin, who's voiced by Greg Chun. And La Cara, her father, is played by Simu Liu, who, you know, is the main character from Shang-Chi. And then we got like Neil Kaplan, who is the narrator, and then Michael Sinterniklaas. He shows up also. And then we get into probably one of my favorites of the shorts. Well, first of all, I really liked The Ninth Jedi just as a story. I feel like if you could expand upon it a little more, you could make like a Knives Out kind of story.
I would love to see a more fleshed out version of, well, all of these really. And I'm kind of only so far, only one of these shorts has like an actual expansion. The Duel, like the Duel is getting a novel continuation called Star Wars Visions Ronin.
Nice. And I mean, that's the thing, like, say what you will about these shorts, but there are definitely areas where like they could be a launch pad for a unique, distinct film experience in the Star Wars universe.
It's a good problem to have when a complaint for these shorts is, but I want more.
Yeah, but it's also like Disney's not going to do anything that's creative, but we'll see. And then we get to one of the two shorts that Science Saru crafted, 2B1, which is about a droid that was made by this one professor who was a Jedi living on this planet like alone. And then, of course, the droid accidentally sets off an SOS signal thing that lures the Empire there. And it's really wholesome for the first half and very different, at least like visually. Like I mean, I love Science Saru. Their work is great. You could absolutely tell this was a Science Saru produced short due to the more American cartoony designs of everyone. And it's cute. And then you also like, I'm trying to find out where to start with all this. Like you have, by the way, you have Kyle Chandler as Professor Mitaka, which that's his perfect casting. A Jedi Master, voiced by Kyle Chandler. Just a great voice cast decision.
Oh, of course.
And so now here's something that I was a little confused about. Was the Sith that showed up a robot? Like, was he like a General Grievous like individual? Or did he actually, or was he like a Sith Lord, like with flesh and blood and such? Because the design made him look like a robot.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure about this one. I might have to go back and rewatch it. But really what I was kind of focusing in on with this short is Toby, or TOB1's arc, which is very much a parallel between, you know, Pinocchio and Astro Boy.
Right.
And it's kind of cool how this short kind of comes a little bit full circle in terms of like a lot of these prominent Japanese filmmakers like Miyazaki or whoever it was that created Astro Boy, they were very much inspired by Disney. And even some of the designs in this short, like the professor kind of has that classic Disney face. And of course, Toby has like the 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 cartoon eyes with like the little dents.
Yeah.
So just from a design perspective and like the story of I want to be a real boy or a real Jedi Knight, that was cute. And then
Yeah.
the second half gets kind of dark.
Yeah. No, it's a very distinct short, and yeah, you can tell Osamu Tezuka was a huge inspiration for a lot of these designs because he's the guy who directed Astro Boy. And then we get to episode 7, The Elder, which is the other Studio Trigger anime directed and written by Masahiko Otsuka, which is about a Jedi Master and his apprentice arrive on his planet to take care of some Sith situation that's happening there. And on one hand, I was really kind of curious about the execution of this one because it comes off like a horror thriller at first, just trying to find the source of the evil powers there. And then you meet the Elder, who is just super unassuming. And then you find out that Elder is, well, the villain voiced by James Hong, who's great in this. And like I said earlier, a lot of the voice cast for these shorts are great. But I think one of the other hurdles comes from here with the Jedi Master Tajin Crosser, voiced by David Harbour. I think there's going to be that kind of threading the needle of you either come off as stoic and distant, or you come off very bored sounding. And I'm sorry, David Harbour did sound bored. It's like they went back to the prequel trilogy of like acting, and I did not like his performance. He's great, just not here.
Yeah, I thought his performance felt a little bit off. It's not. It could have been so much worse, but I don't know. He was towing that line between stoic and kind of half asleep, and I don't know. Maybe he just had a bad day at the studio, and just wasn't giving his best. But I don't know.
No.
Something about it just didn't work.
Right. And that's kind of like a thing across the board, except for James Hong, who's just great.
He's having the time of his life playing this character.
Yeah. No, Jordan Fisher plays the Padawan, and he's better than Harbour, but not by much. And like I said, I think there could have been like this creepy horror element to it. It's like this thriller aspect of it all. And then it's the concept that feels the least fleshed out. And for a Studio Trigger anime, it doesn't look like a Studio Trigger anime. The action is there, but like the characters aren't like expressive enough in terms of just like going all out via like a Science Saru or what Studio Trigger does in like Brand New Animal from last year or something like that.
Yeah, it's I guess it's like they like basically concealed their house style for this anime, which is fine. Like not every Trigger series is going to have like that one particular style,
right?
But this feels very, I don't want to say generic, but they were certainly going for they were going for a very specific style that could have worked if they put a little bit more effort into it.
Yeah, no, it reminded me more of like what Production IG's short looked like. It had that same kind of design to the humans and lighting and coloring. There's just not much there. But then we move on to the second to last short, Lop and Ocho, which is produced by Geno Studios and directed by Yuki Igarashi, which definitely is like one of the few shorts that does dive into more morality takes on like the Star Wars universe, where this alien bunny individual is adopted amongst this rich family that lives on a planet that's being taken over by the Empire, which is basically like, I think, a pseudo like commentary of just like colonialism.
Yeah.
Because they keep constantly describing this planet as not high tech and advanced, and that's what I kind of picked up from. And the drama comes from the different ideals from Lop and Ocho, and I thought that was pretty great to see, like, where they were taking the story. I wish it was a little longer so that we could have a more definitive like ending, but I'm sure the ending was made to be as it was,
Right.
But
Personally, I think this is another one in my top 3, where yes, I do wish it was longer, more fleshed out. And this one does kind of feel like there's very much more to the story than is allowed in the 13 minutes of the short. But I got really invested in like the relationship between these two sisters and their diverging ideology. I did like a difference in ideology. I can't say the word.
no, they're different mindsets.
Yeah.
No, and I like that I kind of took another thing from The Last Jedi into saying, like, anyone can be a Jedi. It doesn't come down to blood or family. And that's nice, because that's the one thing that The Last Jedi did that was like, I love that movie. It was one of my favorites from 2017. But I loved that it basically blew down the doors of like, you don't have to be the chosen one.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just nice to see that. And then we move on to the final short, the final one done by Science Saru, which is directed by Yoon Yong Choi, which is about a Jedi trying to get back to this village to where a woman that he loves that is there, that has been taken over by a shogun. No, I'm sorry. By the way, the voice actors for the last shorts were Anna Cathcart, Rami Dames, Paul Nakauchi, and Kyle McCarley. So
yeah, good cast all around.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. I'll probably delete this part out. But we move on to the last one from sorry. So this short is called Akakiri, and it definitely like has like another pretty interesting take and story, with also a good cast, because you have Henry Golding as Tsubaki, the wandering Jedi. You have Misa, who's voiced by Jamie Chung. Then you got Shinshu, one of Misa's personal henchmen, voiced by George Takei, and Kamahachi, who's voiced by Kyon Young. And then you have the villain, who's played by Lorraine Toussaint, and she's great. I thought she was the best, one of the better villains of these anthology shorts.
She definitely stood out the most.
Yeah, the most level-headed of the villains, because most of the time the villains were very much like, I'm evil because I'm part of the Empire. Masago was more manipulative and like calculating to like how she at the end basically convinces Tsubaki to join the dark side, which is a very depressing short to end on, but it's so interesting from the build up to that point of just like the images that Tsubaki was having and what was going to be the ultimate outcome, and like exactly like what he was willing to do to make sure Misa was safe.
Yeah, I'm surprised they ended on such a dark note. But at the same time, just I'm not sure like where this one places on my ranked list, but as far as the visual aesthetics of this, this is certainly unique, and kind of like Toby, you can tell that this is from Science Saru.
Yeah.
And I think the more I think about this one, the more it kind of climbs up in my ranking. Just for how unique of a take this is for it's kind of like their interpretation of Anakin's turn to the dark side.
Right. No, I think that's like the strength of the overall package of shorts, and I hope they do more of these where they where it's like there's a bunch of great ideas. It's like those anthology films that were made way back in the early to mid 2000s that sadly aren't made too much more, anymore, where they just take the base idea of like what is Star Wars, what is Halo, what have you, and then crafting their own story around it. And I think they all hold up in their own different ways. They all feel distinct. Not one is not trying to be like the other. And like I think like, yes, do I like some of them more than others? Yes, that's always going to be the case of anthology series and shorts and films and what have you. I will say it was hilarious to see someone be like, man, this Star Wars Vision thing is great, but it's taking too much from Japanese samurai films. And it's like, really, buddy? You never knew George Lucas basically, like, the Jedi are not space wizards. They're space samurai. That's what they...
Yeah, think of how the Jedi dress. Their robes are basically... They're basically like more like space versions of a samurai's getup.
Right. Haley, I don't know if you ever saw that comment that made it around Twitter, but it was wild to see that someone like have the gall to say that when it's like, okay, that's a terrible take.
Yeah, I saw that. That was something else.
Yeah.
I was just like, imagine watching Star Wars and being like, yeah, this seems 100% totally created from the mind of one person and not somebody who binge watched every Mifune movie ever made. Or every movie with Toshiro Mifune in it.
Yeah, like this even comes down to the fact that like Ben Kenobi was supposed to be played by one of those actors from the Kurosawa era samurai films. I forgot which one. I apologize. My samurai film knowledge is very limited. And it's just, I can't believe people had the gall to say that. And I hope it was just ignorance and not just someone being a punk. But in general, I think I would recommend watching these. They're a little more mature for what a typical Disney property would offer. But that's what I like about it. It's a little older, but anyone can still watch them.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's not like they somehow snuck a R-rated Star Wars story onto Disney Plus, which that would be wild, but Disney's not going to allow that. But I hope they make more, or they actually ask like one of the studios to make a full-length Star Wars film.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Because one time they did make a Star Wars animated film, it was a pilot movie for the Clone Wars series, and that was not good.
I bet Disney is waiting to see how that Lord of the Rings movie that Kenji is directing.
Yeah.
Because if that does like legitimate box office numbers, then they'll be like, hey, why don't we get one of the bigger Japanese filmmakers and do something special.
Yeah.
What if they get like the director of Redline to do you know a movie around pod racing, or I don't know,
I was going to say that.
or I don't know, get I'm trying to think like who are some other like Japanese directors that could create something really
Distinct.
distinct and just like cinematic.
Well, I think the one downside I have about these shorts is that one, if not all of them, are all about Jedi.
Yeah,
Like I get that's why they did it. They want to start off with like what's the most familiar thing, and that's Jedi. But I wanted to see like a smuggler film, like an animated version of Solo, a Star Wars movie, just something, or something better than that. But like get someone like who directed the Lupin the First film or The Great Pretender or something like that.
Oh, that would be. See, this is what I love about this show existing, is that now that we have a taste of what really creative filmmakers can do when you're not bound by canon, the possibilities just become endless. And the last thing I'll say about Visions before we move on to recommendations is I believe that the target audience for this series is a Venn diagram of anime fans, Star Wars fans, and Star Wars fans who aren't familiar with anime, and anime fans who haven't gotten themselves into Star Wars.
Right. No, it's a very ambitious batch of shorts, and I hope Disney does more experimenting like that. I want to see them expand their horizons a little. I enjoy some of their work, but I'm ready for them to dive into stuff like this. I want to see them take this kind of mindset with Star Wars and put it into their movies.
Agreed.
And it's okay to make a non-canon Star Wars movie, even though it would be flipping awesome to see the duel stretched out to feature length and all done in this black and white style and such. Like there's so much cool stuff they can do, and I'm worried that Disney's not going to take note of that, because as a company they kind of lack creativity in a lot of ways.
But yeah, that's one of the pros and cons of being a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah, no, it's like I like that they did this. I want them to do more of it. I will be happy to watch. I will be happy to watch more. But they just need to invest some time and like get the right people to say yes to this stuff. Like I'm looking forward to that Patty Jenkins Star Wars Rogue Squadron film. That's probably going to be solid. But it's like, but am I going to remember it after watching it? I remember the duel. I remember the twins. I don't think I'll remember a good chunk of most Star Wars movies. So we'll just have to see. But yeah, let's move on to recommendations. I'll start off first since it's just a really quick one. We forgot to talk about this short last time, and it's the new Pixar Spark short Nona, which is about a grandmother who wants to watch her favorite wrestling show, but then has to babysit her 5-year-old granddaughter. And it's really cute. It's really sweet. The animation's really good. And it's kind of fun to see Pixar take on wrestling culture. And just like all the different names for all the wrestlers on TV is great. Like one of them is just named Leg Day.
And I love it.
and then another one is named like Miss Array, like misery or something. Like it's like you read it out as and it's like misery or something like that, or Miss Pain or something like that. It's very cute. But also at the heart of it all, it is a Pixar short with the connection about family and the grandmother remembering like her like what is important to her and such. So and it's got a good dog in it. So
that's important.
yeah.
I don't. I've got a couple recommendations. One, I don't remember if we talked about this on the last episode, but I watched the Dog Days shorts. The
Doug Days.
Yeah, Doug Days. Those shorts were adorable. It was great hearing Ed Asner one last time. I forgot how funny of a character Doug is.
Oh, Doug's great.
And I think one of my favorite episodes was the one where what's the kid's name?
I forgot his name.
Russell. It's Russell.
Russell.
Yeah, the episode where Russell comes in and he gives like the voice
yeah, the voice translator.
Yeah, the voice translators to all the other animals, and just chaos ensues. That short might be one of my favorites.
That I loved that one where, and then like when the fly lands on the voice translator, the fly is just like, "I'm going to take a dump on your food later. Bye."
So that's one of my recommendations. The other ones are obviously I'm going to recommend the original Shaman King, both for fans of the dub. Discotheque is putting that on Blu-ray next month. I'm personally waiting for the original Japanese audio, so I can listen to Oversoul again for the 200th time. My other recommendations, and I'm only bringing this up because Yo really starts to remind me of this character in the best way. I have to recommend Gurren Lagann again, because there are certain moments watching the 2021 anime where Yo really starts to I could see Yo and Simone becoming like best friends, because they both have like that very positive attitude.
Right.
And then my other recommendation is Batman Gotham Knight, which is probably one of the first times that I got to experience this sort of anime anthology from like an American studio.
Right. No, yeah, I think that was like one of the first major. Well, it started off with like the Animatrix, and then that just snowballed into everything else.
Yeah. Haley, what are some recommendations that you have?
So I'll start with the kind of adjacents that I mentioned earlier. Fist of the North Star is being published in really lovely hardcover volumes by Viz. I think they're at volume 2 now. If you've never read Fist of the North Star, it's kind of the template for basically every Shonen Jump manga that followed it. It's definitely worth your time. It's extremely violent, so know that going in. Yeah. But it's definitely worth your time. Also, Shaman King is being republished by Kodansha. So if you liked hearing about Shaman King, but you're sitting there going, I don't have time for 64 episodes or 13 episodes on Netflix, they're releasing the manga in omnibus editions that are pretty easy to take around and read. My other recommendation is actually a YouTube video from Yesterworld, which I enjoy watching because most of the time it's about Disneyland rides, Disney World rides, Imagineering. Right. But they released a video in May called The Troubled History of the Black Cauldron and the Lost Cutscenes. And the Black Cauldron is one of my favorite movies, probably from Disney, probably because of its potential more than what it actually turned out to be.
Right.
And it came up on my YouTube recommendations a couple days ago, and it's a very well done look at what went wrong with the Black Cauldron, and does a lot of good investigative work on what was actually cut from the movie, because so much of the Black Cauldron's cuts have become kind of long-term urban legend type information, things that we accept as
How much
true.
of Katzenberg was mentioned in that video?
I'm not remembering specifically. Katzenberg was mentioned, but more of a factor in a lot of what got cut from the Black Cauldron was really ratings and the expectations that the Disney name held. So it's interesting. It's definitely worth watching. Yesterworld is a channel I like in general. It's not super animation adjacent, but when they do these dives into animation, they do a good job. And they literally go through the storyboards line by line to show you what was cut, which is fascinating. It's about 40 minutes, so it's a decent chunk of time, but it's worth watching. And in terms of non-intensive documentary stuff, I always like recommending the weird things that shaped my life. So I think Beavis and Butthead Do America is coming out on Blu-ray soon.
Nice.
So
yeah,
if you please go and watch a bit of one of the greatest satires of suburban life ever made. It's still very funny.
I haven't watched that movie in years. I need to rewatch it and see. Yeah, so
yeah, with that's me. These are the things I enjoy.
no, it's great. No, always looking for something distinct and unique to check out. So
yeah, these are all fantastic recommendations, and a great place to end such a varied episode. Now, before we get out of here, Haley, where can everyone find you online, or not find you?
You can't find me. If you would like to find me in the Renegade Pop Culture group, I'm there. But otherwise, no. I am, for all intents and purposes, a spirit who is paired to some 14-year-old shaman out there floating. I am an oversoul that only occasionally interacts with this realm.
Right.
And Cameron?
Unfortunately, I am in the world of the living. I'm not in that cool shaman world stuff. But you can find me on Twitter at CamsEyeView. I run my own website called camseyeview.biz, and I review animated films and shows there called The Other Side of Animation. I'm also starting to write more editorials for Renegade Pop Culture, so make sure to check in from time to time to when I post something there. I also have a Patreon at patreon.com/CamsEyeView. And if you like my work, you can support me that way. I'm trying to figure out other like payment formats if people can't do Patreon and such. So that's the way you can find me.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at Captain K42. You can check out all my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. You can find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. You can check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. You can look for us on Podchaser. Listen to all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And last but not least, check out renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. That'll do it for this episode of Renegade Animation. Thank you guys for joining, and we will catch you guys later. Peace out.
Bye.